Everybody else is giving them out, right? Yeah, it was that was a fun night, brother. It was a great time.
Okay, so we already knew Travis had a hidden singing talent at his own wedding, but now his own brother is confirming it. And honestly, the review is pretty solid. Jason Kelce sat down on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast and gave his honest take on Travis's wedding performance, saying his brother did okay. Not the most glowing review, but Jason clarified that Travis has always been able to carry a tune, even if he admittedly wasn't quite on the level of some of the actual musicians performing that night.
Trav can sing. Has always been able to carry a tune. Obviously, paled in comparison to some of the other people singing that night, but he did okay.
Fair, considering the guest list included legends like Stevie Nicks and Tim McGraw. Jason also got into where all this artistic talent actually comes from, crediting their hometown of Cleveland Heights, Ohio. He described it as this super artsy, diverse, kind of former hippie town with a genuinely thriving music scene. Basically, every kid grows up either singing or learning an instrument in school. According to Jason, growing up there exposed them to a little bit of everything: arts, athletics, academics, all rolled into one, which honestly explains a lot about these two.
I think a lot of the fact that we kind of do a little bit of everything actually stems from when we grew up in Cleveland. We grew up in a city called Cleveland Heights, very liberal artsy town. So but there's always been like a thriving music scene there. It's a very interesting town. And I think everybody in third grade, you're starting to record. Everybody in fourth grade, you're getting a musical instrument. When you're in middle school, you're either singing or you're doing music.
And it's not just Jason singing the wedding's praises, pun intended. Fellow NFL player Kyle Juszczyk and his wife Kristen couldn't stop gushing either. Both separately called the night legendary, with Kristen going as far as saying it was simply the best night ever.
It was, wow, it was just the best night ever. I mean, it was legendary. There's no other way to describe it.
You can just tell when they're together, they just click. Like their energy just makes so much sense.
They love each other so much. It seems just like so easy, and you can just feel when they're around each other that it's just meant to be.
Jason's wife Kylie also chimed in, describing the wedding as incredible during an interview at a golf tournament.
Kylie, how was the wedding?
Incredible, of course.
And speaking of the Kelce family involvement, Jason and Kylie's 4 daughters actually played a special role in the big day too. Yes, while we talk about the Kelce family stealing the spotlight, how can we not touch on Jason's daughters, who weren't just a sweet side detail? He actually opened up more about just how special their role in the wedding really was. Talking to the Reno Gazette-Journal on July 11th, Jason confirmed that Wyatt, Elliot, Bennett, and Finley, his 4 daughters with wife Kylie, were thrilled to be part of the ceremony. He described the whole thing as a special moment for their entire family, gushing about his girls being not just beautiful, but full of personality. He made a point of saying just how much Travis and Taylor genuinely adore them. Sportscaster Rich Eisen was actually the one who first confirmed the girls' role publicly. He told Entertainment Tonight back on July 10th that they were literally sprinkling flower petals all over the place. He called the whole wedding pretty amazing, describing it simply as 2 famous people in love surrounded by others who genuinely got to share in that moment.
Those 4 little girls who were sprinkling, flower petals all over the place. It's pretty cool, dude. It's pretty cool. Pretty amazing. And just to see, again, the 2 of them. I know everybody who's a sports fan, like this, that, the other thing about sick and tired of this, that, it's just 2 people in love who are super famous.
TMZ had also previously reported on the girls serving as flower girls, and it's a sweet full-circle moment. Jason and Kylie welcomed all 4 of their kids between 2019 and 2023, just a year after tying the knot themselves in 2018. And speaking of roles within the wedding party, remember, there weren't any traditional bridesmaids or groomsmen at Taylor and Travis's ceremony. Instead, Jason stepped up as Travis's best man, while Taylor's brother Austin took on the role of man of honor, keeping it all in the family in the sweetest way possible. Speaking of family sweetness and secrecy, turns out the whole wedding operation ran on next-level discretion. Brad Paisley just gave us one of the clearest pictures yet of exactly how tight-lipped this whole thing actually was. Brad opened up to the Associated Press in an interview released July 17th, revealing that his invite alone was enough to catch him off guard emotionally. He recalled it included a personal note telling recipients that simply receiving the invitation meant they meant a lot to the couple. He admitted that really touched him.
I took this personally when I got the invite, because in the invite it said, if you're getting this, you mean a lot to us.
But getting the invite was really just step one. According to Brad, the actual details were revealed in stages. Guests knew the date and had a vague sense of the location, but the exact venue stayed under wraps until much later. He described the whole process as a cat and mouse game, where more information only trickled out once you'd confirmed you were actually coming. He remembered turning to his wife, Kimberly, and asking if she wanted to go, and she immediately said yes, no hesitation.
And it was really fun to watch the cat-mouse game of, like, we can tell you roughly where it's going to be. We're not going to say what building. We're not going to say, and here's the date. And here, if you're in, we'll tell you more. And I was like, I went to my wife. I said, "Want to go?" And she's like, "Absolutely. We got to be there."
And honestly, all that secrecy clearly worked, because more than 2 weeks out from the wedding, there's still been 0 unauthorized photos leaked publicly. Guests have largely kept quiet about what actually happened inside. A big part of that comes down to the NDAs everyone reportedly had to sign. Jonathan Thomas, CEO of American Century Investments, touched on this himself on the Compound and Friends podcast. He said he couldn't get into specifics, but confirmed the agreement definitely had teeth.
About a few weeks, maybe a month at most before the wedding, my phone rings. It's Travis. And he goes, "Hey, JT, you're like one of the only people that hasn't responded to the wedding invitation. What's going on?"
Which was a text message.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I would have never imagined. And I said, "Well, Travis, I didn't get an invitation." He goes, "Jonathan, we send you text messages like every 2 or 3 days and you're not responding." And I said, "Oh my God, I deleted it."
And with a guest list that included Selena Gomez, Ed Sheeran, Jennifer Lopez, Karlie Kloss, Gigi Hadid, Bradley Cooper, Tom Cruise, and Zoe Kravitz. It's honestly kind of impressive that this level of secrecy held up at all. Okay, remember all those NDAs we just talked about? Turns out they were protecting some seriously emotional details, because it sounds like this wedding hit different, even by celebrity standards. An inside source told people that Taylor and Travis's vows alone were an event. We're talking around 20 minutes each, which, for context, normal wedding vows usually clock in at like 1 to 3 minutes total. These two basically delivered full speeches, and knowing they'd need it, the couple actually handed out embroidered handkerchiefs to guests ahead of time, because apparently they knew things were about to get emotional. Taylor, dressed in a custom Christian Dior gown, reportedly read her vows from an actual gold book, and it hit Travis hard enough to bring him to tears. His vows were just as long, meaning the vow portion alone stretched past half an hour.
That's what she did, 20 minutes each. I'll take it.
She's a poet. We all know it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people who do write their own vows start writing, and it gets really long. And then you're like, I got to cut this down. I love that it was like, I'm going to keep it as long as I initially wanted.
And at the end of the day, it's for the bride and groom.
I think she sang. She apparently sang, obviously.
Honestly,
why was she
better.
not?
She better.
And
if you're got 20-minute vows, you better sing a little ding-a-ling in there.
Good Morning America's Robin Roberts even weighed in, calling the whole exchange genuinely intimate. She mentioned that despite the star-studded guest list, the couple also had actual neighbors and high school friends there too. George Stephan Apolus agreed, saying it was wild that a venue that massive, packed with that many celebrities, still managed to feel personal.
It really was intimate, wasn't it, guys?
As intimate as it could possibly be, given it was Madison Square Garden. It's hard to imagine that a place that big and a wedding with such stars could feel so personal and so intimate.
Because they had their neighbors, their high school friends. It was like any wedding that you would attend.
And speaking of the venue, guests were reportedly blown away by the secret garden theme. Per the source, Taylor walked down an aisle surrounded by real trees, ferns, and a whole forest-like setup dusted in white, all inside Madison Square Garden. Multiple crews apparently transformed it completely. Purple carpet, dreamy decor, the whole aesthetic. Taylor's mom actually welcomed guests into the reception space afterward, where a full stage was set up. The reception itself had multiple bars and food stations, everything from sushi to Italian bites. And given that MSG typically holds around 22,000 people, the source didn't hold back saying it was, in their words, very crowded. And once the ceremony officially wrapped, a nearby billboard lit up the New York skyline with the words, "Just TNT Married," which honestly might be the most iconic wedding announcement we've ever heard of. Speaking of Taylor bringing her A game to major events, turns out that same energy is spilling straight into award season 2 because she's officially throwing her hat back into the country music ring. Taylor's campaigning her Toy Story 5 song I Knew It, I Knew You for CMA Single of the Year. We know this because of a for-your consideration ad that just dropped in the industry trade publication Country Aircheck. The ad's leaning hard into the song's chart success, pointing out it's already climbed to number 7 on the media base, Country Aircheck, and Billboard Country Airplay charts. The timing lines up with the CMA's first round of voting, where members can nominate basically any eligible artist, song, or project before things narrow down through a couple more rounds to the final winners. And honestly, this whole campaign feels like a pretty full-circle moment. I Knew It, I Knew You actually marks Taylor's return to country music exactly 20 years after her debut single Tim McGraw first put her on the map. The song reunited her with longtime collaborator Jack Antonoff and leaned hard into that classic country storytelling sound that basically built her career in the first place. And it's not like Taylor's new to the CMA spotlight either. She won the Horizon Award, now called New Artist of the Year, all the way back in 2007. Then in 2009, she became the youngest artist ever to win Entertainer of the Year and picked up that same top honor again in 2011. In 2013, she even received the Rare Pinnacle Award, which at the time had only ever been given to one other artist, Garth Brooks. So even though Taylor's obviously become one of the biggest pop stars on the planet since then, she's clearly never fully let go of her Nashville roots. She moved to Hendersonville back in 2004, cut her teeth in the city's songwriting scene, and has always credited country music with shaping how she tells stories. And while albums like Folklore and Evermore leaned more acoustic than country, this new single feels like her most direct return to the genre in years. That makes this CMA campaign feel less like a comeback and more like coming home. That's all for this video, folks. See you on the next one.